The Hensel twins, Brittany and Abby, were born in 1990 with a connected spinal cord. Their reality show and appearances on Oprah attracted millions of viewers for decades. They went on to have regular lives, becoming teachers and drivers. Afterwards, the internet went boom in 2024. Hidden wedding images came to light. Something more substantial was suggested by an enigmatic TikTok. All of a sudden, everyone was wondering the same thing. Where were the twins when all this happened? Nobody could have predicted how shocking the reality would be. In Carver County, Minnesota, Abby and Brittany Hensel came into this world on March 7, 1990. Yet this was no typical delivery. The birthing room fell silent at 12:17 in the morning. Dicephalic parapygous twins, with two heads on a single body, were born. Their combined weight was 11.5 pounds. Shock swept across their parents. It had taken everyone by surprise. 1 in every 200,000 babies is born with this extremely rare disorder. Medical professionals from all over the nation hurried to visit them. They were curious as to how this could have been accomplished. Surgeons carried out a significant procedure only 2 days thereafter. A third, smaller arm was developing in the space between their skulls. It needed to be taken out. The girls made it through the 6-hour surgery. It was the beginning of an incredible journey. Even the most capable medical professionals were astounded by how their bodies functioned. Brittany was in charge of the left side, while Abby was in charge of the right. The organs of each woman still needed to work together, even though each had her own heart and lungs. Despite their irregular heartbeats, they both circulated blood via their identical bodies. Their digestive systems were limited to a single organ after having 2 stomachs. They were both affected by what each of them ate. If even their breathing wasn't in time, disaster might strike. Everything was difficult in their first year. Every day, dinner was a mystery. It wouldn't work unless they swallowed simultaneously. To accommodate their simultaneous feeding needs, their mother Patty devised a bottle with 2 nipples. After many days of trying different things, it finally worked. It was also difficult to sleep. It is possible that one twin is asleep while the other is wide awake. Therefore, the parents and grandparents took turns being the night owls. They persevered through the fatigue. Next, an event occurred that altered the course of events. Brittany and Abby crawled side by side when they were 8 months old. They finally succeeded after weeks of hard work and many tears. The entire family applauded. Ice cream and cake were on the menu. It was as satisfying as taking home a medal. Their parents had to make a tough choice, though, and that's the reality beneath all the happiness. Can they attempt to keep the twins apart? According to the doctors, the odds were low. Both of them could perish. And that's assuming they didn't cause serious impairments. Their parents deliberated for weeks before saying no, believing that Abby and Brittany would be stronger as a team. The family maintained their stance even if not everyone did. Early on in therapy, they helped the girls learn to navigate life as a unit while still valuing each of them as a person. On October 8, 1996, Abby and Brittany made their television debut. Their appearance on The Oprah Winfrey Show occurred when they were 6 years old. People were taken aback. Rather than merely existing, these girls were flourishing. They discussed everything from eating and sleeping to squabbling and how they would use a coin flip to settle disputes. People looked up to them because of their level head and honesty. Then came further shows. They went so far as to have their own TLC series in 2012. But they were unaffected by their fame. They kept to themselves and were modest. Despite everything, one thing remained constant. They were never considered a medical mystery by their parents. 2 girls with one amazing body were raised by Patty and Mike Hensel. In return, they bestowed to them independence, community, and self-confidence. That is why Abby and Brittany never considered themselves abnormal or damaged. The Hensel sisters, Abby and Brittany, are from a sleepy Minnesota town. As far as anyone could see, they were just another group of children making their way to school every morning. However, their exceptional teamwork in every classroom left teachers and pupils in awe. Abby was in charge of the right limb. Left wing control was Brittany's domain. They seemed to glide in unison. They could even jot down notes simultaneously. 1 sentence, 2 pens, and 2 hands. People were captivated and looked at it with awe. They began dividing up tasks even in the early years. When it came to science and mathematics, Abby was a natural. Words, history, and tales were Brittany's favorite things. One of them assisted the other out with equation solving, and the other with essay writing. Priorities were never based on work output. Working together, they accomplished everything. School, however, was about more than just literature. Real difficulties arose in gym class. Uninhibitedly, the majority of children ran, leaped, and played. Brittany and Abby had to give careful consideration to each move. When Abby played volleyball, she would often cover a side of the court. With the other, Brittany took charge. It required time, coordination, and a mountain of practice. Still, they competed. It was a contest. They persisted in showing up despite our repeated requests for a simpler or alternate rule. They accomplished a tremendous feat in 2008. Mayer Lutheran High School, graduating class of 2006. It wasn't as simple as walking over a stage, though. A spot on the honor roll was theirs. They were going about their business. They delivered addresses. People looked up to them. Obtaining a driver's license was a major accomplishment for them that year, as it is for many 16-year-olds. One catch, they had to retake the exam. Pedals and the radio were in Abby's control. The lights and turn signals were handled by Brittany. They mastered steering as a team. Their performance on the test was assessed independently. That meant 2 sets of results, 2 driver's licenses, and 1 vehicle. They didn't go. It was earned, not given, because of an exception. It was a prime illustration of how well they worked together under duress. The entire audience was affected by their graduation address. They discussed the importance of being united, persevering, and the role that school played in their personal development. Not only that, but word got out of Minnesota fast. Media outlets reported on it. All throughout the nation, individuals began to track their progress. Both Abby and Brittany attended Minnesota's Bethel University after finishing high school. They settled on a career in teaching. The workload made exploring other areas of concentration too hard, so they ultimately decided against it. They resolved to follow a single road. There was no retreat. I made the right choice. When things were tough, they always figured out a way to adapt. During their university lectures, one of them would diligently take notes while the other listened intently. A role reversal would follow. Group projects allowed them to explore topics from new angles, which sparked more engaging class conversations. It took some time before I could make friends. Their upbeat demeanor and sense of humor helped break the ice, even though most individuals had never encountered anyone like them before. They gained a lot of campus fame in due time. The volleyball team even had them on it. Every one of them made a special contribution. Their degrees in teaching were conferred by Bethel University in 2012. Once again, the audience went wild in their ovation as soon as they took the stage. They were all awarded diplomas by the university. Despite sharing a same body, same classes, and a same voyage, they were awarded 2 degrees. A considerate 2-for-1 system was used to handle their tuition, which acknowledged their common situation as well as their individual efforts. Although Brittany Hensel and her sister were born into the same body, they were never really one and the same. It was obvious right from the start. 2 souls, 2 thoughts, 2 voices, 2 lives. Abby is a daring, self-assured girl who adores numbers. Without holding back, she expresses her thoughts and tackles things directly. Brittany embodies serenity, prudence, and consideration. She thinks things through first, the writer, before taking any kind of action. Their clothing alone can identify them. Abby likes vibrant patterns and colors. Brittany prefers understated styles with gentle hues. Therefore, their clothing comes with 2 necklines, 1 for each of them. Their responses differ, even though their bodies are identical. When Brittany consumes caffeine, her heart rate increases. Abby is completely unaffected. Even though one of them may tire out first while exercising or walking, they never get into an argument about it. They toss a coin if they can't agree. They switch places if one of them wants to travel to the left and the other to the right. Balance is an art form that they have perfected. That equilibrium allowed them to accomplish a great deal. They started teaching 5th grade in 2012. As 2 sets of conjoined twins began their academic careers in Minnesota, the entire world watched. Both of them had recently earned degrees in education from Bethel University. I was prepared. However, the educational system was unsure of how to recruit a multi-talented individual. In order to get assistance, the principal had to contact HR. Ultimately, their distinct professions led to the awarding of 2 distinct contracts to them. Nonetheless, they received a single paycheck. They were both certified teachers, so it didn't seem fair. Yet neither Brittany nor Abby voiced a grumble. They proved everyone incorrect by putting the children's needs before their own financial gain. They quickly became beloved instructors at Sunnyside Elementary. There was effort involved in teaching while conjoined twins manages the body's right side. Brittany covers the left side. There had to be absolute harmony with every move, gesture, and whiteboard phrase. Each student gets a chance to speak in class. They work in tandem, with one taking the lead in class and the other assisting those who are struggling. And what was the outcome? The kids feel valued. They are encouraged. That is now considered a major strength of the twins. However, there were days when things were tough. Can you even teach like this? A first-year student wondered. That second could have been devastating. Rather, they transformed it into a potent teaching moment regarding diversity and appreciation. Because of that, their pupils never forgot it. A new system of classroom points was implemented in 2015 to recognize and reward appropriate behavior. Everyone in the school took note of how effectively it worked. Students began to use phrases like, "It's like having 2 teachers in one" by 2017. That's fantastic. Their influence did not end with the lesson. Something truly remarkable was uncovered in 2018 by a student survey. Because of Abby and Brittany, the majority of students reported feeling more comfortable discussing their difficulties. By 2020, they had gone national with their message. At a large education conference, they addressed thousands of instructors. Educators around the nation adopted their strategies for creating welcoming classroom environments. Their colleagues have eternally held them in high regard. The arrival of the twins energized the entire school, according to one principal. Math used to be considered dull by kids. This is no longer the case. Because of Abby and Brittany, it was thrilling. Brittany Hensel and Abby have an unbelievable chemistry when they work together. It is possible for Brittany to be writing on the board in one classroom as Abby explains a math issue. They change places seconds after that. They flawlessly exchanged roles 37 times during a 2023 documentary lesson. They successfully completed a scientific experiment in 2024 that required precise timing and flawless collaboration. The onlookers were astounded by how seamlessly they coordinated their efforts. This kind of cooperation, however, did not begin overnight. After making their television debut on The Oprah Winfrey Show at the tender age of 6, Abby and Brittany quickly became household names. Abby and Brittany, their reality series that premiered on TLC on August 28, 2012, brought them back into the spotlight when they were 22 years old, years after they had been out of the limelight. The time was ideal. The show chronicled their transition into adulthood after they graduated from Minnesota's Bethel University. For 8 episodes, viewers got a glimpse into their lives. They have one body but 2 heads since they are conjoined twins. Abby is in charge of the opposite side. Left side is Brittany. So, even something as seemingly easy as riding a bike or operating a motor vehicle requires substantial teamwork. It seems effortless, though. They demonstrated how effortless it is to work together as a team when you've done it your whole life, whether it's playing volleyball, going shopping, or simply making jokes. They also went beyond the immediate area. They were trailed across the world by the show. They worked on their British accents while in London and delighted in a royal tea. While in Italy, they threw coins into Rome's Trevi Fountain and rode gondolas around Venice. These were no light-hearted occasions. The twins' boldness and inquisitiveness in discovering the world were on full display. A major next step was the subject of the last episode. They weren't simply going to be classroom aides, they were going to be certified 5th-grade math teachers. They were prepared to take the giant leap. They began teaching in Minnesota after it was determined they had gotten the position. Everyone was glued to their screens. In tasks such as driving, when each twin was required to pass their own test, viewers were astounded by how they managed. Relationships, marriage, and the desire to have a family were among the more profound concerns that people pondered. But Brittany and Abby didn't talk about those things. With that air of secrecy, the fans were captivated. The twins moved on to a more sedate lifestyle after the last episode broadcast on October 7, 2012. They avoided the limelight as much as possible to concentrate on their jobs. Something quietly monumental occurred in Minnesota on November 13, 2021. Famous conjoined twin Abby Hensel tied the knot. Only immediate family and close friends were present at the little wedding. Standing proudly by her side as maid of honor was her sister Brittany, who shares a body with Abby. An Army veteran and 33-year-old nurse named Josh Bowling sported a gray suit. Isabella, who was his daughter and a flower girl, was 6 years old. The dresses that Abby and Brittany wore were tailor-made to complement their individual shapes. Speaking from the depths of her own and Brittany's hearts, Abby read the vows. A sense of love pervaded the room. A wedding wasn't all it was. Fortitude, solidarity, and agency were all embodied in it. However, no one outside of their inner circle was aware for nearly 3 years. The marriage was kept under wraps until March of 2024, when it was made public via official records. Not because of any scandal, but because it brought up questions nobody had ever thought to ask. The news surprised a lot of people. What is the logistics of a marriage like this? How does one go about their regular routine? All of a sudden, everyone was curious. The mystery was intensified by Josh's history. He was already wed. He was sued for paternity and divorced by his ex-wife in 2023. There was a media frenzy. People were no longer merely interested. A hole was being dug. Abby and Josh remained unmoved by the din. They chose to remain in the limelight. Rather than that, they provide a little glimpse into their lives. Photos from the wedding, shared on their combined Facebook page, showed the happy couple laughing and joking with friends and family. Bright light emanated from Abby. Josh appeared calm. Brittany, who was often in the frame, seemed satisfied as well. It went beyond just passion. Collaboration was key. Long before anybody else noticed, they had started a life together. It wasn't easy to become a family. It was all a pipe dream. They succeeded, though. When Abby and Isabella were married, Isabella was a tiny girl, and Abby became her stepmother. By no means was Brittany a spectator. Beyond that, she was helpful as well. The home they created together was one that prioritized routine, patience, and care. Along with helping Isabella with her schoolwork and going on adventures, they enjoyed playing games and cooking together. Nothing about their lives had ever been conventional, so even the arrangement was unconventional. However, it was effective. For them, maintaining mental and physical equilibrium is an everyday challenge. New Brighton, Minnesota is still home to Abby and Brittany's 5th grade arithmetic class. Hospice care is Josh's field of expertise as a nurse, providing assistance to veterans in their last days. Everyone can relax in their home because of the modifications made to it. Personal space, confidentiality, and limits are important. However, the effectiveness of their communication is what keeps things going. Small pleasures, family meals, community fairs, and peaceful evenings at home all find a place in their schedule. Date nights are even on the agenda. Abby and Brittany skipped the news conference in March 2024, when all the media attention was focused on them. They opted to send a brief message on TikTok instead. Today, the internet is particularly noisy. You can count on us. Yes, that was all it took. The video that genuinely went viral then came out. On April 15, 2024, the show's host showcased the twins' dancing prowess. Their ability to work together as a team was truly remarkable. There were 15 million views. Everything was revealed in their posts. Amusing dance videos, peaceful family moments, and even their life philosophy. The original Instagram account was revived on May 1, 2024. New beginnings, old memories accompanied their initial photo upload, which was a snapshot from their youth. In the span of an hour, it garnered 500,000 likes. It was obvious that people were still incredibly intrigued by their return. Something more personalized was handed out to everyone on May 5, 4 days later. Images from the wedding of Abby and Josh were shared with them. The floating lace dress was a one-of-a-kind creation, tailored so that both sisters may wear it with ease. As a bridesmaid, Brittany stood by Abby's side. The outdoor ceremony was captured on film while a Taylor Swift song played in the background. A reworked version of Rolling in the Deep by Adele played during their first dance. It was strong and passionate as well as romantic. The public adored this new aspect of them. The three of them shared a selfie together in September 2024. Josh, Brittany, and Abby all had grins on their faces. For his Facebook profile, Josh decided to use it. On October 2nd, the same fuzzy feeling reappeared in a TikTok video. In the kitchen, the three of them were shaping pumpkin bread while giggling. A little, joyful moment that over 3 million people saw. Unfortunately, not all gazes from the public are flattering. Not everyone was polite. Not even the twins paid it no mind. They made a TikTok video in March 2024 to respond. As the voiceover put it, "You're still a fan even if you dislike my actions, but observe them all." That was daring. It was ideal. "The internet is extra loud today" was the caption of a subsequent post made a few days later, on April 1st. "You can count on us." Ancient statues featured 2 heads in the film. An example of the rarity rather than novelty of conjoined twins. The internet went crazy when the famous conjoined twins, Abby and Brittany Hensel, shared a lighthearted TikTok video. For an instant in the little clip, a headline appeared, "Married with a baby on the way." It took only one sentence. Thousands of people flocked to the comments section within hours. At 34 years old, the twins might be starting a family. Some were celebrating, some were guessing, and many were simply overjoyed by the prospect. Warmth radiated from the responses. "Congratulations! Being a mom is such a blessing," commented one commenter. "Oh, congratulations, Auntie and Uncle," someone else said. Similar messages might be found in the hundreds. There was even more profound support offered by some supporters. "I would be overjoyed for you if any of you were to have children, ladies. No matter what life throws at you, you have the power to create the path you desire." People clearly weren't nearly interested. They wanted them to succeed. The topic of parenthood had previously been broached by Abby and Brittany. During an episode of their 2012 TLC series, Brittany had been quite forthright about it. "Absolutely. We're going to have a family." The dream was there, she said, but they hadn't worked out the details. After waiting more than a decade, supporters are starting to wonder if their wish is finally coming true. Allow me to explain. No information has been confirmed by the twins. No declaration, no news release. There was only that one enigmatic headline. To spice things up even further, they have already admitted to having just one uterus. That fact alone has increased the number of people curious about the process of becoming pregnant. The medical science and difficulties involved in becoming a parent captivate audiences as much as the prospect of having a child itself. The health of Abby and Brittany has always necessitated further attention. It requires a high level of precision from doctors because they share some organs but have others independently. They are examined more frequently than the average person. A group of experts maintains tabs on their collective and individual systems. On April 7, 2014, a peculiar finding was made by medical professionals. Compared to Brittany, Abby's spine was expanding at a quicker rate. Because of the potential for severe imbalance, they executed a complex operation to halt Abby's spinal growth. It was effective in maintaining their alignment. Despite sharing a cardiovascular system, they have 2 hearts nonetheless. This necessitates vigilant monitoring of their blood pressure and flow. To ensure optimum functioning, they undergo stress tests and echocardiograms every 3 months. Brittany first felt chest discomfort in October of 2018. A comprehensive battery of tests was completed, and the doctors were relieved to discover nothing major. Another part of their body that requires special care is their lungs. Brittany only has 1 lung, but Abby has 2. That is why they check the patient's pulmonary function twice yearly. They instituted stringent quarantine measures in 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak. They remained indoors, kept out of the company of strangers, and made special efforts to ensure the cleanliness and safety of their surroundings. Everything points to the fact that their lives are watched over and that they need to arrange things up meticulously. It wouldn't be personal news if a pregnancy were actual. A medical breakthrough would occur. This is the chance for all their hard work and dreams to finally pay off. In general, individuals assume they understand what it's like to be a set of conjoined twins. A lot of people get the wrong idea about Abby and Brittany Hensel. They have always been noticeable from the outside. One body, two minds. Why wouldn't they? However, their appearance isn't the main distinguishing feature. This is their way of life. They have never allowed anyone or anything to restrict them. Conjoined twins are commonly believed to share identical mental processes and emotional experiences. However, Abby and Brittany have always stated that this is not true. They're not the same person at all. They were simply born into the same body. Viewers were taken aback in 2012 when they appeared on their own TLC reality show. The show showed that Brittany and her buddy might be laughing about music at the same time that Abby was having a conversation with someone about math. They weren't constantly laughing at the same things. One may become irritated and the other may not give a hoot. They were completely separate minds. All they did was share air. People question more than just their thoughts, though. Concerning their feelings, private lives, and potential futures. Even those were debatable. Many people doubted their ability to ever experience love, marriage, or that type of life. After that, Abby wed Josh Bowling on September 3, 2021. Exclusive nuptials. Just a little thing. A monumental event, nonetheless, for those who had ever questioned the limits of possibility. Their union symbolized more than just love. A preconception was broken. However, inquiries persisted even beyond that. Do you think they could keep a job? Are they capable of handling a real-life job environment? Would they be able to manage a group of kids in a classroom? Brittany and Abby remained silent. Their response was to be present daily. They began teaching in 2013, and they did it with professionalism, not merely by turning up. Everyone looked up to them. They were trusted by parents. Co-workers thought highly of them. Their performance was exceptional. It was just superb. Their designation as 2019 Educators of the Year came in May. The motivation behind that award was not altruism. They worked tirelessly, passionately, and had a profound effect on each and every one of their students to achieve it. They keep surprising everyone, even now. On a daily basis, they bring attention to themselves by questioning preconceptions and showing that diversity does not imply inferiority. Abby and Brittany have changed people's perception of conjoined twins from a medical enigma to a human being through their interviews, appearances, and just being themselves. A complex, powerful, and potentially fruitful entity. What they've conquered is just one part of their narrative. What they have created is important.